And I don't worry about it coming over the top because it's visibly going to come over the top anyway. But then I might come back in and neaten up my edges, or my eye needs to tell me that there's still hair in there. So I work at a little bit of both. And for horse type hair, I do a little bit of, I suppose, Lorna's feathering type techniques where I'm probably longer strokes than she does for skin because my horse hair is a little bit longer, but I work them at maybe a 15 to 20 degree angle intersecting one another. And there will be more to that section. One of the challenges, and I still find it kind of challenging, is when you have dark hairs that are coming over the top of a white horse or something like that, and I do go back in with diluted ink and just use a really fine paintbrush trying to add, this horse doesn't have too much of that, but just kind of come back in and draw on with diluted black ink. I do use the same technique for doing shadows underneath, like if the mane has a shadow that the hair is casting, I'll come back with diluted ink after I scratch it and add that shadow back in. And that's about all I have for you guys on horsehair.
Cathy, on the horse's face, what type of strokes did you use there?
Very small ones.
But
primarily a scalpel. I do sometimes go back with the fiberglass brush and smooth out, again, those in between things. I actually use the nail buffer quite a bit in this area, trying to take down, because I want him to appear to be a white horse instead of a white horse with black lines in between his hair. I find white animals to be much more difficult than darker colored animals because the way our eye sees things like a white animal, in between those white hairs is a very slight shade of gray instead of being black. Black oftentimes looks too harsh, the black of the board left on there. So to get that really smooth, true glossy feel like a horse, I find much more difficult than doing, say, a black animal or something where we do really see black in between the hairs.
Now, for instance, when you have this black mane, are you gonna?
I'm actually probably gonna give him a white forelock.
Okay.
That seems like an easier solution.
Yeah.
That's called artistic license.
Yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't see the black in the back.
Am I gonna put those in there? Probably not, because again, artistic license. Most of the time, I mean, there's times where you want to give a realistic portrayal or whatever, and they want to put big scut marks, or like a lion, you know, some scars on their nose can add some effect to the piece, like really feel it, though that's a battle-worn lion. However, a dirty spot on a horse probably really doesn't add anything to anybody's eye other than to go, why does that horse have a weird brown spot on its, or dark spot on its side or whatever, so.
You wear black here. Are you going to put a background in there?
Probably not.
How will you highlight things?
I already have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the event, like, you know, you can let the blackboard work for you. Obviously, you don't want your horse to look deformed by not putting anything there, as it would. But, for example, I may put some white hairs up behind his eye to bring his eye forward in this area. So sometimes letting the board work for you, but also sometimes using your artistic license to figure out a way to make things stand out that don't. I mean, I probably added more highlight to his eye than what's in my photo. And I may or may not put the hairs that are directly in front of the eye across it. Because again, it's my art and I get to do whatever I want. I'm supposed to be improving on the photo, not necessarily, I mean, what's the point if I'm just copying the photo?
How are you going to do the ears?
The ears I actually will be using a second reference photo from. As you can see, I really have no detail, and if I just left it as a black ear, it would just be a horse with no ears. So I went ahead and I do typically work for more than one reference photo. I don't like to just, as I said, copy it, because what's the point? If I can just have a photo that's just as good, it's not necessarily adding any benefit to me, the artist that replicates that photo. So I do a lot of times work for multiple photos. This was another completely different horse, similar type of angle, but he had dark ears, but you could see some more detail in the interior of his ears and how the hair went. So I will probably do him a little bit lighter even than this horse's, but I'll add the values on the edges of the ears.
Because I had a problem with ears. I like that idea.
When you hold your blade, Cathy, you use the back of the blade.
I use all different
side
angles.
of it, or
I rotate it around, just find an angle that works for me.
And everybody's going to wear a little bit,
Yeah.
and it'll work better after a little while.
Yeah. sides, but I do tend to, you know, if that edge doesn't seem to be working, I will rotate it around. And this guy may end up with a hidden image in him. Initially, I was going to put an Indian in his name. I'm not sure if I haven't fully decided if I'm going to or not. You can see a little bit of my outline that I stuck in there in Photoshop with an Indian silhouette. And if I were to do the Indian, I would probably go in with a diluted wash and re-put in the Indian, and then go back and add in some of the hairs to make it so it's not just a painting of an Indian on top of the main, but so that it looks like it's painted in there. And I've actually thought about doing a buffalo, since obviously he's up into doing a buffalo head spot over here. And again, I would just go back in with diluted ink and add back in my spot.
Do you typically work on a photograph or from your computer screen?
I work from prints out. This is what I would work from. I mostly work on my couch. And I do a lot of printouts on just scrappy paper, you know, regular paper. But then the actual piece I'm working from, it's not a photo paper, but it's a better quality paper that I find picks up the values a little bit better. And typically, color pieces I work from a black and white photo to do my black and white layer and then print out a color photo. However, this guy, as I said, when I switched him to black and white, the values were all very similar, so I didn't see an added benefit of working from a black and white photo in the case of the macaque. Any other questions?
Thank you, Cathy.
Yeah.